like to get to know if I could be the kind of...
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you're an oldie, welcome back, guys. Today we are doing a 2026 get ready with me makeup routine. I'm showing you my everyday go-to makeup routine for my natural look. I'm showing you the products I use, what process I use to achieve this look, and why I do so. So if you want to see how I achieve this look, then continue to watch the video. So now that my brows are done, I'm going to go in with my NYX, the brow glue, and I'm just going to try to help set my brows before I started to conceal and just really get into my eye look. All right, so while my brows are setting, I'm going to go in with my Palms moisturizer, and I'm going to just moisturize my skin because a key part of your skin prep is to moisturize your skin because you want to protect your skin under the makeup. So we're just going to moisturize that. For the concealer for today's look, I'm going to be going in with my e.l.f. concealer. This will be in the shade Medium Sand, and I'm going to go in and just clean up my brows for the areas that I don't want it, that I may have gone over too far or just need to correct. And usually what I do when I do the concealer in my brows is I just take it down to like my mid lid. That way when I am concealing the lid for the eyeshadow, I pretty much have a consistent base. So that way when I'm starting to apply the eyeshadow powder, we have a good base. And sometimes I don't use eyeshadow base, so I like to have a concealer cover pretty much on my lid. That way we can have a good structure. Recently, I've been loving the e.l.f. contour kit. I love to go in. I'm going to be going in with my e.l.f. contour kit, and I usually like to use this shade right here. I like to use this as a base for my look because I like to do the natural look. This brown is a good base for that eyeshadow that I use. And we're going to go in with that color to set the lower part of my lid, so that way that can also form as a base. So I'm using the lighter shade and the darker shade. That way we can blend them together to help transition the two, so that way when I'm applying the actual eyeshadow, it's not so harsh. And when I blend the transition shade to help smooth out any edges or any harsh areas, it's not that harsh. First thing I want to do is blend out the concealer that we use to clean up our brows before we go in and blend out the contour concealer. Although it's not blended so seamlessly, it's okay because we're going to be applying the eyeshadow on top of this. So we're going to just try to make sure that at least we have the concealer blended out evenly on the skin. That way, so when we apply the eyeshadow on top of it, there's no cakey or clunk pieces when we're applying the eyeshadow. So even though it's not blending the two shades, it's okay. We just want to make sure right now that the consistency of the concealer is spread out. So now that we have that done, I'm going to go in with a translucent powder to set in the concealer base. Today for the powder we're using, we're going to go in with the Derma Blend in the banana shade. You really just want to press that in. You don't want to have any lumps as well. Like I said before, if you do have lumps, it will cause the eyeshadow when you apply that to show like cakey or not blend seamlessly, because you don't have the powder or all your applications are not seamless. So you just want to make sure that everything is blended before you apply the eyeshadow. I do have to say is that if you are not a facial person, makeup may not be your thing when you're trying to use multiple shades, because it is a blending process. It does take time, and you have to be patient with yourself and the products that you're using, because sometimes the application may require you to apply many layers, and that may cause you to continue to do the step multiple times. So you definitely have to be patient when you're trying to blend out and apply your foundation and makeup. So for today's eyeshadow, we're going to go in with the Morphe, and this is the 3502 palette, and we're going to go in with the shade Fawn from that palette. And so we're just going to go in with the blotting method at first, and we're just going to blot that color in. The blotting method is the best way to apply an eyeshadow when you're first applying it, because the blotting method just gets the eyeshadow on your lid, and then we're going to go in once the color is satisfied to blend it out and just add other shades to like blend out the harsh lines, or just apply as much as you need to fix the look. From the same palette, I'm gonna toggle back and forth with the Universe and Orbit just to help blend out the top part of the lid, just to smoothen out those harsh lines that you visibly see. And then we're going to just take a look back and see what we need to fix, and then we'll go forward. All right, so we have that done. Next, we're gonna go in with my e.l.f. setting spray, and we're going to set our face before we prime it. For the primer for today, we're going to go in with the e.l.f. Power Grip, and we're just going to apply that to the T-zone area, so that way when we put our foundation and things on, it will adhere to it. Going in with my fan to kind of dry out the primer just so it can become more tacky, so that way when I'm applying my foundation, it can adhere more. Today for foundation, we'll be going in with the Milani, and this will be in the shade Tan. Now I know this shade looks very light, but we're going to give it some time to oxidize on my skin and let it sit in. It gets a little bit darker. And then also we're going to be using some contouring, so the bronzer will darken and warm up the face, so that way it does blend out. So never fear if the foundation sometimes doesn't apply on the same match of your skin. See, now as you can see, it looks more like my skin complexion. So next thing we're going to do, since this has set for a little while, we're going to go in and blend this out. All right, so now that the foundation is blended out, you can see that there is not full coverage, but I never am concerned about that because I know that I'm going to be contouring and concealing certain areas, so that's going to provide that full coverage. So next we're going to go in with the concealer and then the contour. For contour, we'll be going in with the black opal stick, and we're going to go in with the NARS in the shade Caramel. And for the black opal, this is in the shade Carab. So we're gonna just go in and fill in the T-zone areas in the C-zone, so that way we can have that set, so we can get ready to blend that out. All right, so for the C-zone, we're just gonna go in and forehead and right up in this area, and then on the side of the nude. I want to let that sit for a second, and then we'll be back to blend out. So now we're just going to go in, and I blend my contour out first. So now we're going to go in and blend our contour out. I do that first because I don't want it to get too dried out, because then it won't blend well, and we just don't want harsh lines on the contour side. Now the concealer is fine, because the more dried out that becomes, it becomes more full coverage, and it makes it easier to blend out any of the areas that were not covered by the foundation. All right, next, so we're just going to blend out the concealer now, and I always start with my chin and my forehead first, every area, and I do my eyes last. So I'm just going to use my beauty blender and just blend that out. And again, well, I'm not sure if I even mentioned that, but any harsh lines that you see after you blend out, we're just going to be going back and forth with the contour stick, and we're just going to blend that part out from where we just blend out our forehead. And then even another layer is that we're going to go in with our foundation stick to do another layer of blend at the end, just to make sure everything is as seamless as possible. And when I'm just going to go in with the same brush that I use for the brown eyeshadow, and I'm just going to blend it up into my brows. That way, any contour that I did for my nose area, that it just blends out seamlessly throughout the whole look. So we're just going to go in with that area, and if it looks a little bit too dark, it's okay, because when we clean up the concealer in the nose and on under the eye, it will just tone that down. Alright, so now I'm just going to blend out the concealer under my eye. And I usually like to look up, so I'm going to get this little mirror here and just blend that out under my eye. We're just going to take it down to the next, to the contour area, the cheekbone area, everything that we use the contour for. We want to do that so they can blend in together. You look up because it helps you blend out the creases, because when you put on your I do pressed powder and then loose powder, you just want to make sure that there's no creasing, so that way you don't have big clumps of powder under your eye or in certain areas. So you just want to make sure you look up so you can blend out those creases. We just go in with the contour stick just to blend out those corners and areas. And I'm just doing all this before we apply the pressed powder. So for me, I like to go in with the Maybelline Fit Me pressed powder in the shade 230. I like to go in a lighter shade because usually your under eye is normally a lighter shade anyway. So I just get it covered like this, and then I just simply just go in and press it in. I do not bake. I just found that this process works better for me. You can honestly find out what you like or prefer and do what works best for you. But for me and how I like my look, I like the way I press it in. Okay, so the face does look a little dull, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set the under eye in a certain area that we have in a T-zone, and then we're going to go in with our bronzer. We're going to go in with our NYX bronzer, and this is in the shade Butter Matcha, so we're going to use that. So we're going to do those two steps, and then we're going to let it sit for a second, and then we're going to blend it out. And for the setting powder, we're going to go in with the Maybelline loose powder, and we're going to just let that sit on the face while we do everything else. Next, we're going to go in with the NYX blush, and this is in the shade Getting Butter. I think Butter Matcha and Getting Butter. That's crazy, the names, but we're going to go in with that shade, and we're just going to do a light blush just because it's a more neutral look and natural, that I don't want to be over like blushed out. So I just wanted to kind of like seamlessly blend in with the bronzer and the look. So as you can see, we don't want to put too much on there. I'm not even going to go back in there. We're just going to work in what we already have and just let that be enough and make it work. See, it's like not too overly powered, but you can still notice that I have some on. So next thing we're going to do while that is still setting is we're going to go in with our mascara, and we're going to go in with our e.l.f. mascara just to do my lashes before we apply our false lashes with the Cherry Blossom 967. I had these on the other day and I liked them, so I'm like, these are going to make my new go-to because it still has like that winged out look. So we're just going to go in and just put a slight coat on our lashes just to get them curled up. Now this is what I like to do. You may not prefer to have mascara on top of your lashes, but I feel that it helps when I'm applying my lashes to adhere to it. So we're going to do this first, and I don't put mascara on my bottom lash until I clean up my under eyes. But I will go ahead and go in with my eyeliner, and I'm going to go in with the black shade. This is the NYX black. Well, sorry, LA Pro Girl black. And I'm just going to fill in my waterline. I just go in with the coat because I just want them to look slightly darker. I don't want to do too much to overpower it. And recently, I used to do this a long time ago, but I started going back to do that as well, where I would go in and just put a little bit of eyeshadow in my waterline. So I'm going to go back in and do that again. So I'm going in with a very small angle brush. And I'm just going to use a bronzer. I just grabbed one, y'all, because it's not really a technique to that. And I'm just going to go a little bit under, just to even it out. Can you see it? It's like slight, but you can tell, but it's not too much. So I'm just going to do that again over here. And I'm hoping that whatever harshness I have formed with doing this, that when I clean up the under eye powder, that it just cleans it up as well. So now we're ready to clean that up. So I'm gonna go in with my AOA. I don't know if this is the brand or not. That's crazy to say that, but it's a pressed finishing powder. And I got this from a store that sells like discounted makeup products. And I don't know if that's the brand, but we're gonna go with AOA as a brand. But I'm just using this pressed powder to go in and just set everything on my face from where the powder went, as well as just set the foundation and things before I spray myself. And apply my highlighter and my lashes. Now, I will not apply my lashes on camera because that's just too much of a, I mean, to be honest, I still struggle with putting my lashes on, so no need to see the struggle. Okay, so that is in, and now we're gonna go in with our setting spray to set it in, and then we will let that dry out. We'll put our highlighter on, and then I will be back with the finished look. Today we're gonna go in with the L'Oreal setting mist. All right, so we're gonna go in with the Global Go by MAC, and I'm just gonna do my nose, a little bit right here, and then we're gonna do a little bit on the cheek area, not too much. Next thing I'm gonna do off camera is I'm gonna do my mascara on my bottom lash, and I'm gonna put my lashes on, and I will be back with the final look. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked it and made it this far, please don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And as always, stay true and stay you, and I will see you guys in the next video.